good evening. Hopefully, everybody's having a great Sunday and weekend and week. Um, I This episode is going to be about a post that I saw about confusing being enough with being in alignment. But before I get into that, I want to just highlight and point out on my Instagram and TikTok page, I posted about some sea moss that I purchased. And so it's from my friend's company. And I think I put it on the page. If not, I'll post it with the link to his website to purchase. But it's good. It's really good sea moss. It's called From Us For You Products. And he has an Instagram page as well for his company, and the Instagram page is the same name, from underscore us underscore for underscore you underscore products. And he sells sea moss, various flavors, and he's a local Boston um, sea moss seller, and so he has different prices based on um, the size. And so, just an example, like a 12-ounce regular is $25. 12-ounce regular purple is 30. You can get it infused for 30. An infused purple for 35. You can get elderberry syrup for two different sizes, or you can also get spirulina powder. That's what I got. And so, yeah, I'm reading off his page for the prices, so I can post that as well. It's like a menu. But yeah, definitely check it out. He has different flavors, including elderberry, strawberry, pineapple, mixed berries, mango, lemon, jackfruit, cherries, or any fruit of your choice. So, um, again, like I said, it's called From Us For You CMOS products. I will tag his page in this post for this episode and further episodes, so that you can definitely check it out. It's a black owned business, and CMOS is a great product. It's good for so many different health reasons, and it has like over 92 nutrients in it. So, um, yeah, definitely check it out. So, other than that, I've been doing pretty well for the most part. Just been busy. Um, that was all my papers that fell. Um, and just yeah, getting through the retrograde, and been really on this health thing, like not just physical health, but mental health, spiritual health. Like just doing a lot of meditating, a lot of healthy eating, working out, and just working on me and my as a whole. So hopefully you guys are doing the same. Not just because it's retrograde, but in general, you just gotta take care of you. So many different things going on lately, so you already know the deal. Um, you gotta take care of you. So hopefully you guys are abiding by that. We had some good weather today and yesterday as well. So hopefully wherever you are, you're getting good weather too. I'm manifesting that we keep this weather going. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a great start to your week as well. So, like I said before, this episode is going to be about the difference between being enough and being in alignment, and how not to confuse the two, and what happens when we do confuse the two. So it's from a Instagram post, the not Instagram, I'm sorry, TikTok, Twitter, and the Twitter page is YOLO Akili. So I'm gonna read it off and then digest it, because it definitely was a word. Like I really liked what this person said. So he says, we confuse. I think it is a he. Yeah. We confuse being enough with being in alignment. We are always enough, but the job, the partner, the opportunity may not be in alignment with who and where we are. And that alignment is not that something is wrong with us. It's that it's not a fit for what we or they need/want. Alignment is about mutuality, shared vision, behaviors, feelings, perspectives, and agendas. When those are not in alignment, some of us try to mold or pretzel ourselves into a shape that is not true to our spirit, and then we suffer. Finding that which is aligned with us takes time, and it takes many failures and rediscoveries and reimagining. And it will shift. One year it works, and the next year we have evolved and need something more. This is life, this is nature. You have rhythms and cycles too. Sometimes we can create alignment. We can listen and create understanding and build connection. And sometimes we cannot. But it is not meant to be, or because it is not the time, or because we are not meant to be in alignment. And we have to accept what that means for how we relate. Leave not enoughness alone. It's a psychological trap designed to keep you spinning. Look at your life and ask, what feels in alignment with me? What creates flow, dynamism, connection? See where that can take you. Lastly, alignment is not global. You may have partners or projects that align in some ways but misalign in others. That is life. It's up to you to learn to navigate the rhythms and discern when the misalignments overpower the flow and the discord is too high. So, a lot to unpack here, but I think it's definitely relates to what I talk about a lot on my episodes about just staying the path and being in alignment and being okay with, losing things or people or ideas or just things in the way your life you think it's supposed to go. There's always the way you think it's supposed to go, and then there's a way that God already has it written out. So the trickiness is that we're on earth and we're just trying to figure out your path. Like, you try to figure out your path and why you're here. And with that, it would be being in alignment. And that's not something that's easy. Like, I wish it was. I wish it was a situation where, like, you go towards a certain direction, whether it be like, all right, if I'm applying for a job and I'm, going online, filling out the application, and then I get some kind of like notification like, nope, that's not your path, then that would be cool because then it would be like, I feel like that would just save us time, but then also you wouldn't get the experiences that you do. And so that's the whole point of us being here and how things are the way they are and why, like it says, you're going to go through a lot of different failures before you can get aligned. And so, and how even when, something that I've been thinking about lately when it comes to dating, relationships, marriage, love is like, even like I feel like you always, for me growing up, like you thought about marriage as like something that's forever, and that doesn't mean that doesn't, I don't think that it doesn't mean that it's not. But I think that what we can all agree on, just how things are nowadays, is like, even if you get married to someone, maybe you're only meant to be married to them for a few years while you guys can grow together and like have different experiences that each of your souls need. And then maybe you do grow apart because your time is up with each other. It doesn't have to mean death, but it could just mean like we're no longer aligned, because in relationships you should be growing. And so I think it's interesting that like our culture has created this idea of like accepting that, hey, just because we're married doesn't mean we're going to be forever. And I'm not saying that you should strive for it not to be forever, but I think it should be a little bit more openness to like, hey, like me personally, I'd rather not be in a relationship anymore or marriage, whatever, if I'm not aligned with that person. Because if I'm really caring that much about myself and what I'm here for, and fulfilling my goals and um, my purpose, then you have to be open to the fact that some things just don't last forever. And as long as I think as long as you put in the effort to try, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like it says, like you can't. You can't force something. You can't make it aligned for you. Just in like, I know I've experienced that as a person just dating, like in relationships. Like sometimes when you meet someone, you guys align, whether it be because of trauma bonding or just because, like, hey, at this time in my life, this is where I am and this is where you are, and it just kind of works. But then throughout that time together, whether it be months, weeks, or a year, years, whatever, like in my experience, like I'm not gonna just settle and be like, all right, well, this is where I'm gonna be. Like I'm still holding on to my own dreams and my goals. And so in that process, I'm working towards completing those goals and things for myself and alongside the person while they should be doing the same. And if my what I'm working towards and it's going to change me as a person, evolve, allow me to evolve and become better and more attuned and more just getting more knowledge of self, that that can kind of create a point where it's like, okay, well, if I'm doing all that and like I'm moving up to my closer to my higher self, or I'm becoming a better version of myself, and you're maybe this other person is becoming a better version of themselves, or they're choosing not to do the work and they're staying the same. Now we're not in alignment, because if I'm becoming a better version of myself, I'm going up a floor higher or a step higher, and you're still where we met. And so that's where you have the misalignment. And even if I did really like that person and vice versa, it just doesn't work anymore, right? Or because it doesn't work anymore if the one person or both people, whatever, are still, um, they haven't let go of themselves, in the sense of like they came into this relationship knowing who they were and what they were trying to do, and they still working towards it. So that's the tricky thing too, because people sometimes get comfortable and they don't want to grow. So I just want to touch on the part where it's how it's saying about confusing being enough with being in alignment. And I think I've definitely experienced that and had to learn that, like, rejection is protection, for one. And for two, just because someone rejects you, and it doesn't have to be like, ill, get away from me, or oh, I would never date you. It could just be like, I've definitely had that where someone has told me, like, you know what, like, I'm not ready for it, or I'm not where you are. You know what I mean? Like, we're just not, it's not going to go into that. And so your ego could take it as like, I think a lot of times our ego comes out first and it's just like, oh, you think I'm not good enough, or you think I'm not what you need, or something like that. And it's a bruise to your ego, because it already takes a lot of confidence to even suggest anything like that. It doesn't matter how confident you are as a person. You I said it takes confidence, yes, but I'm saying, like, it's still it's a gamble, right? Because it's either going to be a yes or a no, And so, um, in terms of like a partner or in a job opportunity or anything like that, and so you too, it does take courage to even initiate it. And so, and if you don't get the answer that you want or you were looking for, I think what it's saying is, like, you have to realize that, like, that doesn't mean you're not enough. That just means that that's not in alignment with you. Because if I feel like, if I'm taking the courage to even think about it and to ask this person, like, hey, like, what's going on, or like, suggest a conversation of that sort, or have that kind of conversation, I would say that shows that you are in alignment with yourself, because you're not allowing yourself to just roam aimlessly or be led astray, right? You're thinking of like, okay, my future. And so is this person going to be with me or not? What are we doing here? Right? You're eager, you're thinking of your higher self, you're thinking of yourself and what it is that you want to be in alignment with. And so, um, you know, again, not taking it as like you're not enough. It's just like, you have to learn how to say, like, oh, okay, well, you have to thank the person, right? Or thank the person, or thank the job or the opportunity for the rejection, because, like I've said before, it's just bringing you one step closer to where you are supposed to be. And I think a lot of the times, like it's saying, is like, if you allow your ego to take over, you might stay stuck at that door, right? So you knock, like, it's just like the idea of like knocking on the door, and where you have the key and you try to open the door and it doesn't work. you if you stay at the door and keep banging on the door and the person doesn't let you in, you're just wasting time, and you could be going to the next house or to the next street over or the next neighborhood, whatever, and that could be your door. And we get stuck when it's saying about the idea of being enough because we're like, well, why doesn't my key fit? Right? Um, and it's not that your key is not good enough or your key doesn't work anywhere, it's just not at that door. And the faster you're able to be like, oh, this ain't my door, let me go on. Okay, thank you. Like, like again, it takes a lot of work. I definitely, I've talked about it before, and I will say it again. Like before all this of me, my experiences and learning, especially with like dating, I was definitely that person that if I didn't get what I wanted or get my way or what I, yeah, what I wanted, or it didn't become what I was thinking it would be, I would get mad, and I would be have a bruised ego, and then I would try to force it, and then after that I would cut you off and never and never allow access to you to me again, which I don't think is a bad thing sometimes, because sometimes you have to do that with people. But I would do it in a immature type of way, right? I would just block you or just not respond to you or something like that, or just make it. It would become a situation where it was just not good, and so now it's like I'm able to be like, all right, well, cool. It's not for me. You're not for me, or the job wasn't for me. Um, and just keep going. I definitely feel like I'm practicing that with my work, with my job search, right? I've applied to a lot of jobs. I've had a few interviews that just didn't work out, but I can't sit there and harbor on the fact that I didn't work out. It's just like, all right, cool. It's just bringing me closer to where I need to be. And so, what other part I want to touch on, I think in my idea of like the alignment part, I feel like the more in tune you are with yourself and your higher self, and you're figuring out what your purpose is, and even if you don't know the path to get there, if you just know where you need to be, then you can just figure it out on the way. And on the way, you're gonna have trials and tribulations. You're gonna have wrong turns. You're gonna have come across. Well, we view it as a wrong turn, but I don't think there's any wrong turn. I don't think anything is a mistake, and you can't mess it up. Like I've said that before, like we can't mess up our lives. We can't mess up um the story because it's already written. We can't erase it. Even if you go off the path, eventually you're going to get back online to where you need to be, whether it be because you just snap out of it or you have an experience that pushes you back to your purpose. And it's all happened to us. It's happened to me before. I've definitely got off my path and got into a space where I shouldn't have been, or around people that I shouldn't have been, and had to have experiences that taught me to, get back on the right path. And so with that, it's a life. It's life. And so yeah, I think the main thing is just realizing what alignment is for you, what it means for you in your life. And other part I want to touch on how it says the shifting, right? Because like I've said before, it says, and it will shift. One year it works, and the next year we have evolved and need something more. This is life, this is nature. You have rhythms and cycles too. I think that's very important. Like I was touching about earlier, the marriage part, like a lot of times I think we're in society, we're taught like once you find your person, then you guys get married and you're happily ever after. And that definitely is a goal, but it doesn't always happen that way. The person could pass, the person could get sick, the person, anything can happen, right? And we have to be okay, like not getting stuck in that. And like when it doesn't work, that doesn't mean the world is over, and it doesn't mean that you'll never find somebody again. It just means that that chapter of your lives is done. And no matter how it's looking, you know, um, you have to trust the universe. You have to trust your life. You have to trust what's going on and trust God, and that even if it's looking crazy to your eyes, you're on the right path, and that's happening for a reason too. things went bad for a reason too, whether it be for your personal growth or just saving you or something. You don't know. We don't know until we keep going. You have to just keep going. And so, like it says, leave not enoughness alone. You're enough. You're definitely enough. It's just sometimes you're too good, right? And or you've outgrown, maybe not too good, but you're outgrown that stage or that person or that type of relationship or that job or something like that, and that's okay too, because that's a sign of you growing, and you are doing the work for yourself, and you are making sure that you're aligned with your purpose and where you need to be. And so just I guess my main point is like, don't think of yourself as not enough or your life is not enough. It's just you have to surrender. And it's very, very hard because we all have egos and we all have plans for ourselves and we all have ideas of how our lives should be. And it doesn't always go that way, but it doesn't mean you have to give up. Thanks, Boo. That's my charger. And so, um, yeah, just really my point in that is like make sure you're staying aligned. And so another part I want to touch on. Okay, well, it says lastly, alignment is not global. You may have partners or projects that align in some ways but misalign in others. Right. So you might have a friend that it works, certain things work with them in your life and then other things don't. And that's okay. That's why we have different friends and partners and different avenues in our lives. And you have to be as open as you can be in life to get the most out of everything and to get all the experiences that you need and the lessons that you lean and to learn just how to navigate and figure out your rhythm. And then, like it says, your rhythm can change. And that's the part where if you are someone who's very like particular or you just you like to know what's going to happen and stuff like that, definitely that's something that I deal with too sometimes, is like you're gonna have, I feel like if you have that type of personality or mindset, like God's gonna put more and more situations in your lives and put you in situations where you're gonna have to learn how to surrender that, because you will get into spaces and situations where it doesn't matter how much control you think you want to have, you're just not going to have it. No matter how much you try to fix something, it's just not going to be quote unquote fixed in your eyes. It's going to still go how it needs to go. So the more you can surrender and allow the rhythm to flow, but also not allow yourself, there's a balance between allowing things to flow and just like allowing yourself to be drifted away into where you're not supposed to be either. So you have to be careful with that you are more, in tune and with yourself, and making sure you still keep in mind what your path is and what your goal is, and make sure that you're paying attention to your surroundings, whether that be people or just your atmosphere, or how you're taking care of yourself or how you're carrying yourself or things like that, to make sure that you're still on the right direction, your right path to fulfill your purpose. So, like it says, just we as humans, everybody does it. We confuse being enough with being in alignment, and you have to know the difference, and you have to learn how to recognize the difference. You are in alignment when things are flowing and everything is just making sense, and you're not questioning things, and you're trusting and you have faith, even if you can't see what's going to happen, or you can't fathom, or you can't picture or figure out like how would that even come about. It doesn't matter. If you believe it in your heart that it's going to happen, just let it be, and just play your part, play your position, and don't allow yourself to get in the space of like, am I enough? Because that's when you're going to throw off the alignment. If you ever think about like when you're applying for jobs, stuff like that, and if you have an interview and you do really well in the interview, but then you start second guessing yourself because maybe they didn't call you, at the time that you think they should have called you or something like that, then you can throw off your alignment, because now you're confusing the universe. Like, well, do this person want it or not? Like, okay, well, just because it's not coming at the time you think, it doesn't mean it's not coming at all. So again, and not in just in situations like that, but also in relationships. Like, just because that one person didn't say they wanted to be with you or didn't work out with that person, it doesn't mean that you're never going to be with someone. Now, you will never be with somebody if you stay stuck on that person, because if they've already given you the answer, what else is there to talk about? If they come back around, like it says, like sometimes just wrong, right person, wrong time, or it could be just wrong person, wrong time. And you have to learn how to discern, use discernment, and figure out that one too, and believe that if this person, you felt that strongly about that person, and maybe vice versa, if they said that this is not the right time, then maybe another time, but maybe it's another time that you guys will be together. But in the meantime, you have to take care of you and stay on your path. You don't go off of your path just because of that person. Let them go on their path, you go on yours. And that's something important too that we have to pay attention to, that we're not allowing ourselves to get misaligned by trying to keep up with somebody else and their story or their path because you want to be with them. Again, like if that person's supposed to be, then your paths will cross again. You cross paths for a reason. Maybe you needed to learn a lesson from that person, and now you've learned the lesson. And sometimes you learn the lesson and they haven't, but that's not your problem. If you've learned the lesson and they're still trying to figure out, then you gotta let them do that. But I guess the main point is like, just don't allow yourself to be misaligned, and don't think that just because something isn't working out, it doesn't mean you're not enough. It just means that that's not right for you. So don't allow yourself to ever think that you're not enough. It's just not in alignment with you. And so you have to keep going and move on to something else that more aligns for you. So hopefully that was helpful. I think that can relate in so many different ways, whether it be just a job opportunity, a relationship, or just an opportunity in general in our lives. We have to recognize that um, a yes is good just as much as a no is good. Both are helpful because they will tell you whether you are on the right path or not. And if you get a yes, go for it. If you get a no, keep going. You don't have to harbor on it. You don't have to try to figure out why that person or thing or situation didn't fit. Just keep going. Don't allow yourself to stay there and try to make it fit, because it's never going to work. It's never going to fit. If it was supposed to fit, it would have fit the first initial time. You wouldn't have to force it. Things that you have to force are not for you. Things that fit and just flow, those are the things that are for you. Remember that. So hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, that was from a Twitter post from Yolo Akili. And as always, this is Black Hippie Lounge. I'm your host, Chanel. And if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Black Hippie Lounge. You can also check out my website. I've updated it in the link in the bio. And also check out my friends' um, CMOS company at From Us For You Products. I will, like I said, tag it in this post on my Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, definitely check it out. CMOS is a really great product. And as I said, I will have him on the podcast too, so he can be able to explain the benefits of CMOS and the different versions that he has and stuff like that, so that people can understand. Because I think it's definitely something that a lot of people are on that wave of taking CMOS and like more healthy products. I know I am, like I've told you before, taking supplements. I got some, went to the store today, got some fruits, and gonna be making some doing some juicing as well. So just, yeah, healthy eating and living is just necessary, especially with so many things that are going on nowadays, right? You got to be on top of your health. Knocking on wood, I have not caught anything that's been going around, and I want to keep it that way, and I want to be my best version of myself, because it's not just a physical, it's a mental, spiritual, emotional, everything plays, and your body is your temple, and you have to take care of it. So with that being said, eat healthy, take care of yourselves, work out, drink water, mind your business, okay? Um and yeah, get ready for the summer, because summer is coming, baby. Um and yeah, I'm ready. I hope you are too. And as always, take care of yourself, meditate, manifest, invest in you, and have a great week. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.